this is a section I would normally avoid and not read, so it should be fun, I think. Really fun. Take heed that no one deceives you. For many will come in my name, saying, I am the Christ, and will deceive many. And you will hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that you are not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. For nation will rise up against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there will be famines, pestilences, and earthquakes in various places. All these are the beginning of sorrows. Then they will deliver you up to tribulation and kill you, and you will be hated by all nations for my name's sake. And then many will be offended and will betray one another and will hate one another. Then many false prophets will arise up and deceive many. And because lawlessness will abound, the love of many will grow cold. But he who endures to the end shall be saved. And this gospel of the kingdom will be preached in all the world as a witness to all the nations, and then the end will come. Most assuredly I say to you, he who does not enter the sheepfold by the door, but climbs up some other way, the same is a thief and a robber. But he who enters by the door is the shepherd of the sheep. To him the doorkeeper opens, and the sheep hear his voice, and he calls his own sheep by name and leads them out. And when he brings out his own sheep, he goes before them, and the sheep follow him, for they know his voice. Yet they will by no means follow a stranger, but will flee from him, for they do not know the voice of strangers. Jesus used this illustration, but they did not understand the things which he spoke to them. Then Jesus said to them again, Most assuredly I say to you, I am the door of the sheep. And all who ever came before me are thieves and robbers, but the sheep did not hear them. I am the door. If anyone enters by me, he will be saved, and will go in and out and find pasture. Okay, we can start. So the first reading was an end times prophecy from Jesus, and I thought I would do a class on it because someone asked me this week if I think we're in the end times, and I just thought, well, that'd be an interesting class to do. I don't, so just don't freak out. Or don't care if we are, I don't know, it doesn't matter. It's almost irrelevant if we are or not, so this isn't where finally after 18 years it gets weird. Not at all. The first thing I want to say is that the way that I was instructed in theology, they talked about this prophecy, all the end times prophecies from Jesus being already fulfilled within about 90 years of Jesus' life. So in one sense, they already all happened. Every warning that he had happened. The Jews were sacked, the temple was destroyed, people had to flee the Romans. So on the one hand, every one of those prophecies already happened. And then there's three different ways I was taught to look at prophecy in the New Testament. One is as fulfilled prophecy. In one sense, every bit of it already happened, and it wasn't really an end times prophecy. Then another lens is a perennial philosophy. And this is the one I'm most interested in tonight, because perennial philosophy means it's something that will reoccur again and again across time. And so then it's not an end times prophecy unless you're possibly, living in Palestine right now. Then it's being fulfilled. Does that make sense? And I think World War II, would have felt like an end times prophecy for so many people. So in another sense, it's Jesus is telling you the way of things, the way things happen, and from a very hopeful place, obviously, because Christ comes at the end of this. So I wanted it, and then the last way is actually an end times prophecy, because I think Christianity does agree. It also does speak of some end times, an actual end times prophecy. I don't want to be boring, but I just don't care about that. He said no one will know when. I don't know what I'd be talking about if I spoke of it. It seems like it says right there, no one will know when it's coming, and then a large part of Christianity spends a lot of energy guessing. And I just don't know why. I mean, a broken clock is right twice. I guess you might get it right, but you don't even yourself know if it's right. So I don't know what use it is. So not that. Okay. So then, what about this perennial philosophy? What about this perennial prophecy? Perennial means it comes back again and again. If you don't know, just comes back again and again. So the first thing Jesus says is, do not be troubled. Do not be troubled. And I think for the most part in here, I'm preaching to the choir with this. I don't think anyone here, not many people here, get too caught up in what's happening in the world. So I kind of understand some of this might not be relevant to you. You already just live underneath it, right? You're just under it. It's happening, but isn't it so nice coming out of deep meditation, having to remember what world you're in, who you are, coming from a place so deep, you don't even remember your identity. You got to come back to it. That freedom that comes from being out of that and gone is very powerful. Because, oh yeah, the trouble of the world, right, all that, right. But you come out of this such a deep, peaceful place, right? I don't even necessarily mean absorption. You find a place so free of all of that, so peaceful. And you come back and the world is still troubled, and it's hard to take it as seriously as you might if you didn't have this refuge, this place. That's why after reading the prophecy of trouble coming, I read Jesus being the way, the door. Because we know the answer already. Why am I not worried about end times prophecies? Just because I don't care, because whatever I would have to do to get ready for that, I'm already doing. What difference would it make? It doesn't matter what comes in the future, one way or another, it doesn't matter. It's Christ. It's Christ. So my question is, how can I best navigate times that are so turbulent, right? Because the times are so profoundly turbulent. And you guys know I've been banned from ever getting into politics. One of the messages I've got that have revealed themselves to be true. This will be the most political I ever get, and I think I've managed to not get 1% political. I really do. I mean, if I haven't, I've made a mistake. I never want to do that ever. Don't care. Don't want to know yours. I don't care about that. Just don't want to know about it. But okay, so a perennial philosophy or prophecy speaks of a reoccurring event where disorder and chaos comes about, and division, and then war a lot of times, and famine and troubles, but usually followed by the return of Christ. Usually followed by sort of a a greater degree of enlightenment of some kind, a newness that comes into the world. That's a perennial prophecy, okay? This is what Jesus is talking about. So we can know in general that whether it's a big thing that's coming or whether it fizzes out by tomorrow, you can know this for sure. You can know that Christ and God are flooding humanity with power, and anyone that is disposed to receive it is receiving it. And that new consciousness and new life is coming into the world. And so on the one hand, everything's up for grabs. Things seem pretty shaky. And that can be quite dangerous. I mean, in the short term, that can be really messy. But you have to think what's happening in the long term. What's really happening? Is God weak? If you think of yourself in your spiritual journey, okay? You're tripping along just fine. Then you have some kind of dream or something like I had with the basement. Or you just, for no reason at all, you wake up and you have this psychological dump. And all of a sudden now you have shame and fear or lust. You have all these things arising, and you guys have been on the path long enough to know that always leads to a greater degree of enlightenment on the other side. You know this. But it can be confusing in the moment because it feels so real, right? When it comes up, it feels so real. If you have fears, whatever it is that comes up, it feels so real. I told you a year ago something came up, and I don't remember if I told her. I told somebody, but I just knew in my bones, it might have been 18 months ago, I just knew in my bones that I am trash. Trash. I knew it. I mean, I know it's not true. I've been on the path a while. I know what that is. But if I had to describe what it felt like in that moment, I knew for sure it's true. For sure. It feels that real when it comes up. And then it expends its energy, and you inventory and you see it for what it is, and you find where your will is in alignment with that lie, and you unhook your will from that lie, and that energy and that consciousness dissipates, and you are now free of that piece of it, right? This is how spirituality works. So we see this perennial prophecy happening over and over again in our own spiritual life. Everything's fine, and then there's wars and rumors of wars, man. And there's troubles, man, and there's all kinds of problems out of nowhere. For some of us, it's not ever even triggered by events. It just depends on the person. Events triggered for a lot of people. Some people just wake up with it for no reason at all. It's just there. We know what this is, and we know that all of them are a cycle towards Christ for those that turn to Christ, for those that find where their will is in agreement with those lies, and who fast from agreeing with those lies. Right? This is the thing. We have to fast from that. Okay, so if you know God and you know yourself, you know the world too. There's nothing, it's all the same patterns. Everywhere you look is the same patterns. There aren't any new patterns. So you could just look at like the United States of America. You can look at it as one person with all kinds of psychological disorders. And all kinds of good too. Divided against itself and where it wants to go. Okay? If you think of this. I've already abandoned my notes. Probably can't find where I was. So we're in a time when a massive psychological dump is being dumped out in the open from the country. That's what's happening. And we seem to be wanting a divorce. A lot of people seem to want a divorce from one another. A lot of people seem to be quite angry at one another. Definitely all judging one another. We all also seem to think we're right. Part of the reason I did this class is because a woman I know, I will share her politics. Very liberal. She started listening to some scholars on a certain topic, and she found out. And I don't care what the topic is, because who cares, right? Let's start a fight in here. Like, she got educated about a certain topic and found out she's been dead wrong her whole life. That she was just wrong about something, very, very wrong. And that once she heard all of the information, it changed her perspective radically. And she's been judging that group of people that she now thinks have good points. She's been judging them harshly for years. And now she said, oh my gosh, I'm so wrong. I'm so arrogant, she said. I am so arrogant. She said, I always think I'm right. And I've been judging people. You know, whatever group she's judging, it doesn't matter, because we're all doing it, you see. It doesn't matter. They feel that, and it pisses them off. They feel that. They can tell. We don't get away with this. We can't get away with it. If you don't ever speak it, that's good. That's great, even. But if you secretly harbor it in your heart, then you're feeding the hatred and the division in the country. And at least, if we're Christians, we ought to be sowers of peace. We ought to at least be aiming for neutral. Just please keep that to me. Please keep that to me. Don't let this bleed out on the country. Please don't let this bleed out on the country. At least we should be working towards peace for everyone and not bleeding that energy out into the world. We're disciples of Jesus, so that means that it's complex, because Jesus loves everyone and forgives everyone, no matter what. But he's also not blind to sin, so no one's asking anyone to be blind to right and wrong. You have to think for yourself about things. But if you've done any spiritual growth at all, you've had to change your opinion on a lot of things once you let your anger go. A lot. When you let your anger and judgment go, it changes the way you weigh facts. It changes the way you value pieces of information over others. It's blinding. So is pride. So is pride. Any sin we hold in our hearts while we analyze situations, and even while we're taking in the information, poisons how we process that information. It pollutes it. We're generous with our tribe, harsh with that tribe. Open-minded and understanding with our tribe, family structure, whatever it is. Closed-minded and harsh with that side. Jesus says the truth shall set you free. Now, we know on the one hand what he really means is the Christ. Holy Spirit descending upon you, transforming your consciousness. I mean, that's ultimately what it means. But it also applies at every other level of living. How can I take in the truth when I don't want to? So that I thought, gosh, we're running this center, we're trying to become saints. We hope that we become saints in this life. Do you think it might matter how you're treating the other side right now in your heart and mind if you're on the way to sainthood? I don't mean even treating them. I would never say a harsh word either. No way. But what about what you harbor? we're in here, it's so quiet, you can feel someone, you can feel what they're doing. It's not like they have to tell you, you can feel it. A lot of times if I sit next to someone, I already know where they're coming from. I don't even have to hear a word. Sometimes I don't have to see their face. I can feel it. You know this. So then we're in these times where we're divided, where there's psychological dump happening, tons of division. Like it could potentially spin very far out of control. Are you a peacemaker? I think that really matters. I think it really matters. I really do. And remember, Jesus didn't say, in order to be a peacemaker, you have to be stupid and not be able to see right from wrong. He didn't say that. But you see and love anyway. So you look out there and Jesus said in the end times that because of lawlessness, the love of many would grow cold. And I just feel like as a perennial prophecy, that lands so hard. That lands so well. Because of lawlessness, I can hear any side from, say all the sides are a big circle and there's all these possible ways to be. I could hear any side casting stones because of the lawlessness they see on the other side. And they're all telling the truth. And they're saying, I give up. No more. You're not worth loving. You're not worth loving. I'm not going to love you. So now, remember we're saying the country's like one person. So then, you have all this, let's say who cares? You know what you have. I'm just going to say hatred. But you might have lust or jealousy, it doesn't matter. You have this stuff coming up, and it's in there, and you don't like it, but it's there, and you wish it wasn't there, but it is there. How far do you ever get with healing if you refuse to love that, see it, dialogue with it, inventory it, and have a change of heart towards it? What's your chances of growth then? Pretty low. I think low. So then, if the country is in a process of turmoil in the end times, there's always the chance that it leads to a much greater enlightenment for everyone on the other side, even when I'm wrong, even when I am absolutely the one who is wrong in a given polarity. If I'm in Christ, even if I'm angry and dumping, isn't there the chance of all that leading towards healing? Isn't there that shot? It's like, yes, I got pissed. Have you ever done that with someone you love? You got angry, you wish you hadn't, but then you realize that while it's terrible that you took it out on them, it also was good it came up and out. Isn't that true? So isn't that what's true for everyone in the country right now? That's what's happening. But isn't it also true that this all depends on our invitation of Christ's power in our lives? Right? We don't make this stuff get better. We don't fix it. We marinate in Christ. And then we spin around and wiggle around like we don't need a washing machine to do it to us because we do it. We're just in there wiggling around, and this Christ power is just marinating into all these spots and healing all this stuff. But if we choose not to love them, then where's Christ? If we're so right and so self-righteous, where's Christ? Even if you know you're right and you judge and hate, you work for the devil in that moment. Even when you are right. Think of it as idolatry, right? The great sin of idolatry that is mocked by atheists because they're like, who on earth is going to worship a golden cow now? And that, like, it's such a childish understanding of idolatry. That's dumb. We're not likely to do that. But if I put family alignment, my family tribe, right? My family. We're great. We're neat. We're special. If I pit that against another family, that's idolatry. Right? So then if my tribe is better than that tribe, even if it is, it's sin. It's sin. And it sows division instead of love. And there are people, I don't know if you heard of this, there are people that want both of my godsons told me the other night they both wanted all the crash, so they're voting for whatever they think will help it crash faster. And I'm not going to judge them either. I'm just saying that's they want it to hurry up and crash, so they want to throw wrenches into the mechanics. Just like, let's get it over with. That's where they're at. So it's like, whoa, man, that's pretty intense. But how do I react to that? Like, I don't agree with that, but how do I react to that? What do I do with that? Well, first of all, ultimately, I don't know if they're wrong. I don't know. It's not my place. I'm not, that's above my pay grade. I don't get information from God on where this is all headed. That's all above my pay grade. I don't know. That's not my proclivity, right? That's not my tendency to do that. But that's where they're at. So, so I'm not saying they're wrong. Make sure you know this as I speak. I'm not saying they're wrong. But I can see nihilism in them. I can see an absolute loss of all hope. For sure. I can see anger and contempt. And I know that's all sin. I know that is sin. And I did nothing. I didn't heal them, or this isn't a story where it all gets worked out. All I did is just not feed the problem by judging. Right? That's all. I didn't fix it. I don't know if it should be fixed. That's the thing. I can't be so arrogant. I don't know where we're going. There were groups trying not to let the Jewish temple get sacked, right? But that's what was going to happen. It was going to happen. That's it. And some people were so sure that if all those people would stop, and it was just the way it was going to be. So then, I'm sitting with a child of God, not an accelerationist. Right? I should be sitting with a child of God, not a lib. Right? I should be sitting with a child of God first. That's what should matter to me. This is where my heart should be. We can disagree. It's whatever. I don't even want to talk about it. I don't care. I just want to be free of all of that. And under it, where I know you're made by God, you're a child of God, and I want to love you and not have this in the way. And so then that seems obvious, I think, to everyone here, I think, and mostly some people might be getting twisted a little, and please let it twist you. Don't poison the world. Don't do this. We're supposed to be trying to be saints. That's just not directly poisoning the world with our hatred is a pretty low bar. It's, it's a long ways from there to sainthood. You better stop if you're doing it. You better stop. You have to stop. It's so easy to say they're evil, isn't it? They're evil. But doing that is evil. It is deeply evil. You're doing witchcraft on people. When you hate someone, they know it affects them. And they hate back. So here we are, we're in profoundly unstable times. And let's remember our role in those times. It's okay to have opinions. If I get around someone that shares enough of my opinions to talk, I will talk with them, no problem. But just as you can take your own inventory and see what a train wreck you are, and still have enough love to get up and meditate and pray and be healed, then we should be able to offer that to the other. So you say they lie. Come on, you lie. They're mean. You're mean. What are they that you aren't? Really? You might say it's a matter of degree. Okay. But how convenient for you. If you don't forgive them, what did Jesus say happens to you? I'm not even saying if this ship is going a certain way, I'm not saying we're going to stop it. Just do what's right because it's right. I don't remember now a sort of a martyr, maybe some great figure I was reading about. They said you can't win this battle. You're not going to. I don't think he won. He said, you are not going to win. He said, I don't care. I'm doing this because it's right. That's why, that's it. It doesn't matter if it fails or succeeds. It doesn't matter. It's right to forgive everyone. It's right to love them. And I think, personally, for me, I've been amazed, raised a certain way, and then I had an awakening, and I absorbed an entirely new kind of political worldview. But I've just been amazed over time how much it's changed when I just harbor no negativity towards the other side and could hear them. That's all I'm saying. And throw a rock anywhere in the world, anyone you hit, you're hitting someone that's messed up. That's just obvious. There's no groups. It's not like out there is the devil and in here is Christ. That is foolish. That is foolish. The devil's everywhere and Christ is everywhere. I will say, in my observation, most people I know are not thinking outside of their tribe. They're not. Mostly it's just their tribe. And that's heartbreaking. But it's tenfold disturbing when I see a genuine Christian doing that. That's very disturbing. Because our tribe's supposed to be Christ. So here's the thing. So when you think of the world, when you think of the current state of our country, just go out of your way to pray for them. And don't pray that they'll finally see the light. Don't do that. You can pray that they see the light. Proper. The light. But not the light as viewed through your eyes. Don't pray for that. That's condescending prayer. That's slightly demonic. It's demonic. Just pray they see the light. And how about you offer a little of that to them? I think most of you guys are mostly under this. But just be careful, because these are dangerous times. I think there was fair to say we're in dangerous times, unique times. I never thought I'd see anything like this in my life. I never did. I remember driving down the road, around 18 years old, just going, America, man, this is so great. It just felt so great, and I never thought we'd see the social degradation of the country. I never thought I'd see anything like this. I tell my daughter all the time, it was never like this. You have no idea how weird this is. But it looks to me like mostly people just throwing fits over stuff we'd get over in a few years if we just let it roll. Just calm down a bit. It's not psychological dump. You don't kill yourself when it comes up. I felt like trash. What you don't do is sell your place and quit teaching and move to the Bahamas in a shack and just drink margaritas. You just don't. You just wait like 3 days, and you're like, whoa, yeah, I feel a lot better right now. I'm not trash. And you kind of know that, but when you act on your psychological dump, it's not so good. That's all that's going on in the country. We just need to not act on it as it fizzes out. Just wait. But I was thinking, let's also actively put some love into the country. Some non-condescending, arrogant love. But start for your side to stop being liars, and bigots, and arrogant. Start asking for your side to see the light. And then spread it to everyone, but don't add the labels, because it's not your job to add those labels to them. Let's put some love in the world. And just remember, judgment is emotionally charged discernment. Discernment's okay. You can see right and wrong. You're a fool if you can't. You're naive if you can't. One woman I work with, she's a member here, but she lives in Las Vegas, and she just realized, I think she's about 40, and she realized she's made some very profound mistakes in life that have cost her dearly. All because rose-colored glasses. Just only wants to see the good in people and not the ill. And she's made some doozy mistakes that have really cost her. Got involved with people that were harmful to her by being naive. So Jesus never asks us to be naive. But he also says, don't judge. And that means I see you, and my perception of you is compounded by hatred or resentment or arrogance or fear. So I never meant to mention even one political group, but it just accidentally happened. The Accelerationists. They're out there sowing division to hurry it up. Don't be manipulated unless you agree with them. You know? Some people thrive in an environment of chaos. Don't give them that. We're in Christ. That's really all. I have this ATV. It's really slow. It goes like 25 miles an hour, but it'll go anywhere. It's just two wheels, but it's two-wheel drive. So anyway, I went on this long ride, and we were late, so it was about a 15-hour ride one time. This was many years ago, and I'm coming back, and it's just dark, and it's been hours, and I'm so tired. My hands can hardly hold the handlebars. I actually had nerve damage from that ride for years afterwards. It was just a really bad. It was a rough trip, but now it's night and you're in the woods alone. My motorcycle is very slow. There's this bastard. They're way ahead, 3 miles ahead, and it's just dark and late, and I'm just beat. And you think, like, well, what would you do if a bear jumped out, And you think, well, I would just hurry and jump off and position myself between the bear and the motorcycle, and use that as a buffer. And, you think what you would do, what heroic things you might do if a lurking shape comes out of the forest. And so sure enough, just riding along, and this black form just leaps towards me out of the woods. And I went, and I wrecked it and fell on the ground, and it was just a cow. So all the planning, all the heroics, and I just kind of screamed a little and squealed and fell to the ground and probably presented my neck for whatever predator wanted to just take my head in its mouth. And it was so funny. Let's don't do that every time somebody lurks out of the forest here. Right? Let's just stop freaking out over everything. Just stop. If it was a bear, they like that. They like chaos, just, they want you to flip out. Then you do stupid things. Stop. Should have figured that out a few years ago, in my opinion. It's ridiculous. That's all.